Hello, welcome to the Developer Adventure. My name's Martin and I'm a developer and this is my adventure. So, what got me here? Well, in 2024 I was watching a YouTuber called Timmy the Sorcerer, and he did a series called Timmy in Shandalar. Now, for those of you who remember, Shandalar is an old Magic the Gathering game from the 90s. In the 90s I was actually playing Magic the Gathering around 1994, 1995. I think 4th edition and Ice Age was about at the time, and I played in tournaments every week. I was quite into the Magic the Gathering scene, so when that game came out I played it quite a lot, and the videos that Timmy the Sorcerer did resonated quite a lot. So this is Timmy. Should go subscribe at Timmy the Sorcerer, yeah, I watched those videos and it got me thinking, oh, they don't make games like that anymore. Typical old guy phrase, I know. You know, they don't make them like they used to, and they don't. But I was thinking, you know, you just don't see any games that are quite like Shandalar. There's some similar games, but not quite the same, not quite like that, where you've got the overworld feel and the card game and the deck building aspect of it. And I thought to myself, it'd be cool to create a game like that. Now, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, so I was always typing things in from the magazines and later on sort of creating my own little games. I never published anything, but I did dabble and play around. Later on, I got into ARM assembly on the Acorn A3010. And a bit later in the 90s, I moved over to do a bit of Java as well. So a developer's in my blood. I've always been a developer, and writing games was really what I always wanted to do. But my career path took me in a different direction. So I'm now a senior developer, but not in the game development world. Anyway, that prompted me to go and buy a copy of this. And this is the old game from Micropose. And installed a virtual machine and started playing it. Now, I had problems with the graphics card, so I couldn't get the actual overworld working, just the card game. But you know, that was good enough. And watching Timmy the Sorcerer play it was you know, quite intriguing, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. About 6 months ago, I was talking to a good friend of mine who is quite prominent in the games industry, and we just sort of in conversation, and I said to him, it'd be really cool to make an old game like Shandalar. They don't make them like that, and I think that we could do a scripting language to make the entire thing scripted. And I was obviously thinking multiplayer and stuff at the time, but from that conversation I started writing some code and getting some sort of proof of concept out there. And let me show you what that very first version was. This is the very first commit that I ever made, and here we go. So you know, it's my canvas game, so it is written in JavaScript. That's basically what I work with the most these days, so it makes sense to do it in that. It's very easy for me to do. It's like, you know, all comes naturally because I'm working with it on a daily basis. Originally I wanted to have like 3 different or more different characters that you could play with, and that's been sort of sidelined for now. But anyway, here's the first version, and you can see that we're using like biomes to use height maps and place trees and grass and stuff, and we've got like little red dots for enemies walking around, and you can open. Oh, there's a start battle bug there as well. You can open treasure chests and get cards from them. And you know, sort of walk around as you would in the old sort of Shandalar thing. There's also like a quest, so if you like speak to the cartographer, he'll give you a map of Albion quest. It just asks you to go and get the plates from up here and then take them back to him. It's very, very simple proof of concept code to just sort of get this sort of stuff specced out and how it would interact with itself, and you know, just how it all works together and what it would feel like. And this gives you the map, and then if you click on the map, we get, you know, this is so it's a massive world. all of this stuff is just randomly generated and plonked into the world in this version. It's not really a version; it's just a proof of concept for everything. And we've got shops and stuff in there as well. I think we can enter the Emporium. And that comes like a little shop. You know, very basic cards. It's a very small card pool at this point as well. In fact, it still is. I haven't done too much to add them. But if you go into a battle, you jump into a card game. I've left some devlogs there as well, and you can, you know, quite simply just cast things and play a game. So I took inspiration from all of the card games. You know, like, so the Hearthstone aspect where you gain a mana every turn, I quite like that because that prevents a thing in Magic called mana screw, where you know you can have the best deck in the world, but if you don't have the right mana to cast it, then you know you're screwed. You lose the game. And other aspects like tapping to attack, I like that aspect because it means that you have to think about the comeback. You know, if you tap a creature to attack, then when they swing back at you, you know that creature isn't available to block. Also, damage stays around until your next turn. So I wanted creatures to be more vulnerable to damage. Whereas like in Magic, at the end of the turn all damage goes away. This goes away at the start of your turn. So if you attack with a creature and it gets blocked, their blocking damage is available for them to use essentially to cast a spell and deal an extra bit of damage to kill it on their turn. So its vulnerability stays until your next turn, which was something that I wanted to add because I thought again it makes attacking a bit more strategic. You can't just willy-nilly attack and go, well, you've got to have a spell to kill it or something. But it has the sort of phasers, main phase. This has all been changed in the recent version, which we will get to. And the AI is extremely fast, so you'll see that it just it almost looked like it skipped the AI's turn. It didn't. It did actually cast a spell, but it's so quick that you know it's unnoticeable. But yeah, you can tap, start attack. That'll bring the opponent down to 19. You can cast, you know, deal 2 damage. You get little arrows, like deal 2 damage to it, and that's and that is working as a basic concept for a card game. And so let's have a look at where we are now. So this was the very first commit that I ever made, and it was all sort of proof of concept using the biomes and stuff. But if we go over to the latest version, so this is my latest commit, and you see it's very different. So empty slot. Let's just call it dev. Takes a little bit of time. So this is the latest version. Now this is a tile-based version. I realised that with the biomes, I was never ever going to get it looking how I wanted it, and I was never going to be happy with the direction that was taking. So I rewrote everything, moved it to a tile-based overworld, and wrote a tile map editor specifically for this engine. I'll probably go into that in a later video, but ultimately it looks a lot better. I'm still not entirely happy with the look of it, but it is looking better. I went on itch.io and bought a tile map set to use specifically for the new tile map version of the game that I was creating at that point. So this is sort of rewrite 1, I guess. And we have like an overworld map with a fog of war, so you can only see where you've been to on the map. And we also, like, the deck builder hasn't really changed much, but we do have a sort of card background to make the text a bit more readable. So if we follow this arrow, this is sort of the very first thing that it wants you to do. It wants you to go speak to the seer. I need to add cutscenes to it so that we don't just jump into the forest. We end up with a cut screen explaining to the player why they're there and why they need to go talk to the seer. And interestingly, game development itself is quite easy. What I've found hard is the storytelling, the whole world layout, and how things interact with each other. That's the true art, I think. So we have some buildings, and we have an inventory system, which I've just collected some gold, so there's some inventory in there now. And we're probably coming up to our first, if we just pop up here, you'll see that we've got our first NPC who sells bait. He won't sell you anything though, because you don't have a rod. You can get a rod, it's all the way in the other corner. But yeah, the map itself is massive. I think it ends at around 85,000, so down here, and it starts at 0. So just to give you an idea of how big this is. It's massive, and it will scroll infinitely, so you can expand or just create as big a world as you want. And I wanted to do that so that the world itself was massive, just so that I could see that the engine can cope with massive amounts of tiles and objects being around on those tiles, and it seems to cope fine. And there they are. So there's a little bit of a tile mistake there, and another one there. So I'm not perfect. I'm learning this as I go. So that's obviously a placement mistake. It's not a mistake in the tile map editor, I don't think. And there's zones where you can go in and out of some buildings. This is the only one at the minute. It takes you, this is like a TARDIS because it's much bigger on the inside. And again, it's all sort of proof of concept to make sure that animations are working and things. We've got the NPCs to make sure that there's another mistake there. I just quickly spotted it. And you can talk to them. So this is the greetings, traveller. And I think this blacksmith is a shop. Yeah, that'll all change. Now if we go talk to the seer. This is again sort of more proof of concept to make sure that the scripting engine's working correctly. It's issuing items correctly, and you can go through the menu system, and that'll all change. It's just a just a menu system, and that gives me some waystones. So waystones I can just teleport anywhere where I've already been. So if I try and teleport here, I can't because it's not discovered. I'm thinking of changing that there is a design decision around changing that, so we might end up having sort of portals in certain areas which are specific where you can and cannot. So you can only teleport to portals, and you can so you have to discover portals, and there is an interesting design decision around doing that, and a good reason for doing so. So if we just wait 20 seconds, so that this is just more dev stuff. It's not actually how it's going to work. So it spawns stuff like it did all the way up here randomly around the player every 5 minutes, and it's just to give me something to interact with whilst I'm developing. So so there we go. Look, that's just popped in. So now if I teleport here, I should be able to go and see this outrider, and that will take us into a new current battle scene, which is looking a lot better. So we actually have card frames and stuff now, so it does look a bit nicer. We can cast stuff, and we've got little Zs for Sleepy just coming to play. And I have slowed the AI down a little bit. It didn't do anything that turn, but I still think I need to slow it down a little bit more, so I can attack, and then cast another one and turn, and there you go. It's starting to cast something now, and then it passes back to me, so I can start another attack, and that's got 1 damage on there. So now I can deal 2 damage to any target. Let's kill it. So that's how it works, and this is working. You can play games, and yeah, so that's where we are. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you want to follow me on this adventure, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Bye.